Hey again, guys, it's Martin here. Thought I'd start off the video by updating you on how I'm doing. Feel free to share how you're doing in the comments or contact me any other way you wish. I had an okay week. I had a couple of rough spots, and my sleep schedule's been really thrown out of whack. I'm trying to fix that, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm actually I'm definitely on the road to if not a full recovery. I would honestly say at least I'm in a positive place. The reason I've improved as drastically as I have in what is a short amount of time, I'm really amazed and stunned at how quickly this has gone. I was put on a medication called Wellbutrin in combination with my Prozac, and it's done wonders for me. I've been really enjoying work. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been uploading a lot of videos, some of which are my new series, the Mark Remark, and this one as well. I've been really enjoying putting stuff out there, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridged is still coming along strong as well. The episode should be done, I'd say, within the next couple of weeks. I don't want to put too much pressure on Mike, my editor, but it's looking really good. Like, he's done a really good job, and it's the first episode of season 4 of that, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited to show it to you guys, and it feels good to be talking to you and to be in a good place, because I've not been in a good place for a long while, but I'm in a good place now. I'm in a good headspace, and I'm focused on moving forward. I'm focused on my work. I'm focused on getting better, and for a long, like, the 6 months that I've discussed in previous videos, I just was like, the inertia was destroying me. I was happy to just sort of let myself sink. I was happy to let myself sink into the quicksand of depression and guilt and despair. But I've climbed back out. I've jumped back out. It feels like I don't know. It almost feels like a superhuman feat. And I hate to say that because it sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not bragging. I was not thinking it would be this immediate, and I have to thank you guys again. I thanked you guys last week, but I want to thank you again for assisting with that. You guys really did. You guys picked me up when I was down, and it does mean a lot to me. So thank you for that. Yeah. So without further ado, here's something that makes me happy. When I first got the internet, I think it was in 1998. I think it was around then. It was around the time Mystery Science Theater 3000 started airing on the Sci-Fi Channel. And the thing is that we got it in England. We didn't get it when it was on Comedy Central, when it was the Joel era. We only got the broadcast of the Sci-Fi Channel era. And we didn't even get the full broadcast of that. They aired most of Season 8. They didn't air all of Season 8 in England. And then they aired like 3 or 4 episodes of Season 9. And the rest of it, they just didn't bother. I don't know why, probably rights issues, but they aired it, and I stumbled upon it one day. It was the Mole Men episode. I believe that's episode 3 of Season 8. And I was blown away. I thought it was like a fluke, because the TV guide said that it was just the movie The Mole Men, but it was the MST3K version of the movie. For those of you who don't know what Mystery Science Theater 3000 is, it's a TV show created by Joel Hodgson, which starred Joel initially, and in later seasons, Mike Nelson, who was the head writer of the show, and his robot friends, Crow T Robot, Tom Servo, Gypsy, and Cambot, although Cambot never really featured in the episodes. He was still an important part of the show. And they're on the satellite of love, and they're being forced to watch terrible movies. And I love terrible movies. I'm a huge fan of terrible movies. I would rather watch a really awful movie than a boring movie. There's a difference. Like, a movie can bore the hell out of me, and I'll just feel like I've wasted my time with it. But a terrible movie, you're getting something out of that. You're gonna enjoy yourself. You're gonna have fun making fun of it afterwards or during. So yeah, I was big into terrible movies, and the fact that they were featuring these really awful, some of them not too old, movies was really exciting to me, and they were really funny as well. I was really into it, and I started watching every week because I was like, oh, this is a TV show. This is a thing it exists. I didn't know about this, and this was before I had the internet, and it was right around that time that we got the internet in my house. And the first website I went to was MST3K.com, because I was just like, I need to know more about this show. I want to know what I'm missing out on, because obviously there's more to it. This can't be the only season, because it feels like they're referring to events that took place before, and it just feels like there's more out there. And I was blown away, because there was like apparently 7 years of extra episodes that I hadn't seen, because they just didn't get brought over to the UK. And so I was like, I need to dive straight into this, and I need to watch every single episode. I still haven't watched every single episode. I'm sure they're out there. I need to get on that and actually complete the saga in the series and watch the whole thing and say that I'm a true fan or whatever. But I was so blown away by the fact that, first of all, it had such a devoted fandom, and a really positive fandom as well. MST3K has one of the least drama-filled fandoms, although, having said that, apparently the Mike versus Joel debate is a touchy subject and almost tore the fandom apart. Isn't that fun when that happens? But I jumped onto message boards. I entered a chat room called Deep 13, which is named after Dr. Forrester's lab, and it was I believe the official MST3K chat room on the Sci-Fi Channel website when it was on Sci-Fi, and I made some really good friends in there, and I still keep in touch with the people I met there. And it was during a time in my life that I've probably mentioned this in a previous video. I don't know if I have. It was a time in my life when I was suffering from a bit of depression. I dropped out of school. I don't think I've told any of you guys that, but yeah, I dropped out of school. I never finished school, and I'm not proud of that. Please do finish your education if you can. It's a very important tool. It's something that will help you. It may not feel important, but you don't want to lose any of the opportunities that are put before you. I still feel a lot of guilt, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. I still feel a lot of guilt for not finishing school and having a proper education. It's hard to talk about, but it's what it is, and that's part of my life. No regrets, I mean, I feel bad, but I don't regret necessarily the decision. I dropped out of school, and I was basically, I dropped off the face of the earth. I kept to myself. I didn't talk to people. I was very afraid of strangers, but the people in the Deep 13 chat room were really nice, really fun, really friendly. And obviously they were into the show that I loved at the time. I still love MST3K, but they were hardcore fans, and this was before the show got cancelled, so we were looking forward to new episodes. We were excited for new material and finding out where the show would go and what movies they'd do next. And it was a big community. It was a big group effort of just having fun and enjoying this show together. And obviously there was drama occasionally. There's always drama between friends. People get upset at each other. There's only so much you can take of seeing the same person every day. But I was a big part of that chat room for a long time. I think about 3-4 years. And it was a big part of my life. And I actually, one day, I believe it was 2000. I believe it was in the year 2000. In the year 2000. But it was there was this convention called Gateway Con in St. Louis, which I have since returned to one time. I've only ever been to St. Louis twice in my life, and one time was for Gateway Con when I was, I believe, like 17, and the other time was for a convention this past year, 2 years ago actually. No, this past year, called Anime St. Louis, which was a bloody great time, and I have to say that the people who came out to see me there were really very, very nice and giving and kind, and I was so overjoyed to see everybody there. But Gateway Con was the first ever convention I attended ever, and it wasn't specific to MST3K. It was a bunch of nerdy things, like Terry Pratchett was there, which I was excited about, but I was more excited about MST3K, so I just went out of my way to do all that stuff, and Terry Pratchett was just the icing on the cake. And I lined up to meet the cast and crew of MST3K. It was Michael J. Nelson, who at the time was my hero. He's still a hero to me, but at the time I was like worshipping the ground he walked on. But there was Mike, and there was Kevin Murphy, Bill Corbett, and Mary Jo Pehl, who played Pearl Forrester, and obviously all those guys are writers for the show as well. And I lined up for, I think, about 2-3 hours to meet them and get my amazing Colossal episode guide signed. And I came up to each member of the cast, and I was like, "Hi, I come all the way from England. It's nice to meet you." Awkward conversation, and I did an impression of me that sounds nothing like me. It was weird, but I got up to Mike. He was like, I think he was the second to last one in the line, and I got up to Mike, and he was my, as I said, he was my hero at the time. I was really, really, really a big fan of his, and he made days that sucked a lot easier to get through, because he was just so funny to me. I wrote an entire essay in English class one time about Mike and how much I admired him and how important he was to me. And that's that's very nerdy of me and very sad. But that's not why I dropped out of school, by the way, although it might as well have been. But I came up to Mike, and I was going to be like, all these ideas in my head of what I was going to say when I met him, like, oh, I'm your number one fan, which obviously is never true when people say that. There is no number one fan. Everybody's as good a fan as everybody else. I came up to him, and I basically was thinking of how to tell him how much I respected him and how much I loved his work, and I just couldn't say anything. And I don't know if it was the depression or anxiety that I was feeling. I don't think it was. I'm a shy guy. I'm a very introverted guy, and I don't like to impose on people. And I guess part of me was like, he's got better things to do than talk to me. That's my thought process a lot of the time. People have better things to do than talk to me and listen to what I have to say. Who cares? Which is a silly thing. That's a silly train of thought. And if you ever find yourself thinking that way, don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. That's nonsense. You're just as important as anybody else, and your feelings and your opinions are just as valid as anybody else's. But I came up to him and I couldn't speak. I just froze. And then I got my book signed. He looked up and gave me the book back, and then I moved on. And it was just like, oh, I missed my one chance to talk to Mike Nelson. I don't think I'll ever be coming back to America again, which is funny in hindsight. And I'll never get this opportunity again, and I blew it, and I hated myself for that. But I guess there's a nice ending to that story, because I tweeted at Mike a couple of times, and he responded, and I told him that I felt like I couldn't speak to him at the time, and he was like, oh, well, don't worry about it, And then there was a second time when I was like, I saw his follow account was less than mine on Twitter, and I was like, that's insane. How is that even possible? You're Mike Nelson. And I tweeted at him being like, that feel when you realize that your childhood hero has less followers than you on social media, which was, I guess, kind of an ego thing, but it was also kind of a, this is really weird thing. And he replied being like, well, most of my followers are bots anyway, which I thought was funny. And it was just nice to get to interact with him after all those years and be like, you know what, that was an idiot. I should have gone up to him and told him what a positive effect he had on me. And being in the position that I am now, I get that. I hear that a lot from fans. I hear stories about how the comedy and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged and every other video that I'm involved with has helped them during a day when they really needed a pick-me-up. And yeah, I've been there too. I've been exactly where you are in that situation. I've had shitty days where I've needed just to laugh and forget my worries and my troubles, and Mike was there for me inadvertently, and MST3K was there for me, and my friends in the Deep 13 chat were there for me. So it's probably one of the biggest influences on my comedy as well, because I like riffing, and I like making fun of bad movies and over the top things like Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a big part of my life, and it's one of those things that, even without realizing it, it changes the course of your life as you know it in a good way. And one of the things I've learned from going to so many cons is that this passion that we all share, it's really good to share it with each other. Like we all have it, but when we share it together, that's the really great thing, because it forms these bonds that just don't exist between other people who just don't know each other the way that fans do of the same material. It's really cool, and I'm glad that it's cool to see people have that, and it's cool to have had that. So yeah, MST3K. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really good. This isn't really specific to depression, although obviously depression is it's a factor in it, and it amplifies the feeling. But guilt is something I struggle with every day. I was going to say almost every day, but I feel guilt every day, especially these days. I feel guilt from I feel guilty making this video. Realizing that now, that's really sad. I feel like I shouldn't be doing this because there's a voice in my head that tells me, you are wasting your time. You're not going to be able to help anybody. Nobody's listening. People will just stop caring. And it's hard not to listen to that. I'm not going to listen to that. You shouldn't listen to that voice if you ever hear it. But yeah, I feel guilt on a constant basis. And part of that is because I'm just the way I am. I feel like I have to apologize for everything. If you've ever known me, you know I tend to apologize too much, and it can be infuriating, and I'm sorry for that. But I just naturally feel like if anybody should take responsibility for something messing up, or if people aren't happy, I feel like, I haven't done my job. And guilt, as part of depression, as I said, guilt is like, it amplifies it. It makes it way worse than it would have been otherwise. But I'm going to have to tell you, whether you're depressed or not, guilt doesn't really help anything. Guilt is, it's a feeling that we can't help having, but our choice to listen to that feeling is what matters. And the thing about guilt is it's very easy to let it take over you. Like depression is very easy to let it overwhelm you, but guilt will end up dictating everything you do and everything you feel. If you feel guilty for doing something, you're gonna act differently around somebody, or you're gonna beat yourself up over it, or you're gonna struggle to sleep, and it's not cool. Feeling guilty is really damaging. It's okay to have that feeling. It's okay to have most feelings, but the thing about, if you do something wrong, if you hurt somebody, if you legitimately did something wrong, don't beat yourself up about it. That is not constructive. That is not going to contribute to your recovery from depression if you are depressed, and it's not going to help you in general if you're just feeling like shit, people fuck up all the time. I fuck up all the time. I'm sure you fucked up probably at some point this past week. But today you didn't. Today I didn't fuck up. You can't look at all the negatives and dwell on them. You can't dwell on the negative feelings. I mean, it's very difficult not to do that when you're depressed. It really is. But guilt is very self-destructive. It's very difficult to ignore. But like I said, everybody fucks up. But that doesn't mean that you can't recover from it. Everybody messes up. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody hurts somebody close to them in their lives. That's part of it. If somebody wasn't close to you, it would probably be much harder to hurt them. But when you're close with somebody, they've let the guard down a little bit for you. And it can be very easy to accidentally step on their toes or insult them without meaning to, or even meaning to. Because friendship is like that, and love is like that a lot of the time. But you're capable of making amends. You're capable of making amends with yourself, with the problem. You're capable of looking at your decisions leading up to that. You're capable of looking at the problem itself and fixing it, or even just changing your attitude, or whatever it takes to make up for that. Guilt is just gonna keep punishing you. It's a self-punishment, and it helps nothing. It does nothing but makes you miserable, whether you're guilty or not. So, if you are guilty, try and sort that out. Try and make amends. Try and fix what you did. if you're not guilty, but you're still feeling guilty, which is how I am most of the time, then just try and filter that out and try really hard to focus on the next day, because tomorrow you might not feel guilty, and today I feel really good. I mean, like I said, I feel guilty for making this video because I feel like they're a better. I hate saying it, but I feel like people want me to do other things. You know, I feel like there are people out there who are like, "Why is he doing this?" But you know that that's not valid. I know deep down that it's not valid, and the only way it becomes valid is if you allow it. Like a lot of these feelings that come with depression. And if you're feeling guilty about something, I would suggest just taking it, making something constructive out of it, going out there, you know, maybe apologize to somebody you hurt inadvertently or even advertently. Take the time to solve the problem. Take the time to better yourself. Because feeling guilty, just, you don't get better as a result of that. You're just hurting yourself. You're just allowing a feeling to change you or even keep you the same way in a bad way. So guilt sucks is what I'm saying, and it's unavoidable. So just acknowledge it, move on, move forward. A lot of these videos are just going to be me saying, move forward, move on with your life, keep going. But that's important. That's really important to me. That's important. It should be important to you. Because part of depression is you just retreating within yourself, and you can't do that. That's not healthy. That's not good. And if you're feeling like overwhelmed by guilt, talk to somebody about it. That's one of my fail-safe things, is talk to somebody. Talk to somebody who's not involved with the problem. Talk to somebody who's directly involved with the problem, who wants to talk about it. If somebody doesn't want to talk about it, don't force the issue, but talking about it, getting it off your chest, just try and get that feeling of guilt. Try and defeat it. Try and just try really hard to not let it defeat you. Anyway, that's the end of that episode. And I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm going out of town this weekend. I'm leaving on Wednesday, and I have a new episode of the Mark Remark to record right after this. Well, actually, not right after this. I'm writing for it right after this. Tomorrow I'm recording it. And it's I'm on a bit of a time crunch, but I'm really going to try and get it out there, because being creative is what helps me take my mind off my depression. And as a result, I felt very positive for the most part. And I felt like I've been making progress as a person, not just as a creator, as a video editor, but I feel like I've been making genuine progress as a person, and I'm changing for the better. And that's really important, is to do something like that. Focus on something that you feel is going to make your life better for you and for everybody else. So yeah. And like I said, I'm going out of town, but I'll be back on Monday with a new episode of We're Still Here. And I might record it while I'm out of town and then upload it on Monday, because I'm going to be de-stressing from the trip. But yeah, please feel free to come back next week and check it out. I hope you liked this video. I hope it was remotely helpful. I know it wasn't as emotional as the last two, but that's a good thing. I think we needed a lighter episode this time. But yeah, I hope to see you next week, and I hope you have a really great day. Thank you for watching. If you wish to reach me, you can find me at Yu-Gi-Oh! TAS on Twitter, and for all my other content, please visit team4star.com/LittleKuriboh. I hope you have a great day.